Guys, Magic Spoon is cereal reinvented. This is my family's favorite breakfast, and we're never going back to regular cereal. Our favorite combo is to mix the cocoa with the peanut butter flavors to make the ultimate peanut butter cup collaboration with 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and 4 to 5 net grams of carbs in each serving. This high-quality cereal is fueling reimagined. Use my code Chael2023 for $5 off your very own variety box and choose from Magic Spoon's best-selling flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, cookies and cream, and maple waffle, plus other awesome flavors, including blueberry muffin and cinnamon roll. Magic Spoon is so confident in this product, they back it with a 100% happiness guarantee, which means if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Click on the link below. Use the code Chael2023 to save $5 off your order today. Also, for my Canadian and British fans, Magic Spoon now ships to Canada and the UK. Pavlovich Blades. Saw a promo for it today on one of the .coms that I go to, and I was staring at that fight. I was staring at that poster. What a hard match. Set that thought aside. Dana White made a comment about 3 weeks ago, and I can't get it out of my head. I keep processing it. Every time I look at heavyweights or think about heavyweights, when I see this picture and I'm looking forward to this main event, title eliminator match coming up, I can't get Dana's comment out of my head. And what Dana said, meaning himself, he said, I can see a very realistic scenario where Jon Jones fights Stipe and retires. And Dana supported that claim by saying Jon will have nothing left to prove. Okay. Now that's a mentality. And I don't know if Jon has it or not. But as I stand back and look at Dana's point of all the records and just the boxes being checked, I fully understand it. Wouldn't the same be true for Stipe? And that's where things do get very interesting. I'm put myself in Jon's shoes. Okay, Jon goes out there, he fights Stipe. Jon wins. Whatever he does next, and we can have that debate. We could talk about Sergey, and we could talk about Blades, and we could bring in Aspinall. Whatever he does next will be dipping his toe into the pool of the next era. Now, the next era is very frightening. And it's one that you just generally don't have to deal with. But if you get to that point, it's a very interesting thing, because the next era, while very likely having the skill, very likely having the training and the approach, right? We always tend to put those that came before us in front of us, but reality tells us something different, right? The next guy coming along is just always better. But that's not the perception. And if you're out there and you're fighting, you're taking big risks. And if you're Jon Jones and you do have all of these accomplishments, those risks are even more. Very hard for the average person to be able to relate to, right? The success of Jon Jones and the pressure that he has to maintain that spot. And I only share that with you because if he was to lose, think about Jon, if he was to lose to Stipe, okay, that's a former world champion and got some great battles out there, and this was just one more. Okay, but if he was to go and lose to the next generation, I don't know who's going to emerge there. Whether it's Blades, whether it's Sergey, where is Aspinall in the knee? I mean, just to throw some names at you. I don't know who's going to emerge, but the perception of them would be very different than the perception of Stipe. Am I saying this clearly? Because while Dana felt that was possibly a real obstacle that we're going to deal with, for Jon, it would just seem like the exact same thing would apply to Stipe. And I don't know that that's a mentality. I don't have that mentality. So I can't fully relate to it. I wanted to compete. And if anybody competing at the same time that weighs the same thing, however you want to do it. But I know that there is a different idea out there. I know that there is a different approach out there. And it's just where Blades and Sergey, there's a lot on this. There truly is. it would seem whoever wins that is next. And we know that the organization plays everything very close to the vest, but we know that they have recognized the skills and the accomplishments of Pavlovich. We know that because, just to remind you, Pavlovich was the backup fighter for Jones versus Surreal. So he could have gone in. So it's a very interesting spot. Is that what Stipe would do, right? Because Stipe's not fighting for money. It's a very big difference when you're trying to check a guy's motivation. Why is he here? I mean, there are different things, including it's a job. Yeah, sure, there's some risk, and there's this, and it's a job. I'm a fireman. I'm used to risk. I've got to go to work, right? It's one of those situations. Jon is fighting for the money, so I don't know. I don't know. I would believe that they would want to go on and they would want to compete, but either way, the point and the fact that it was brought up by Dana, who knows their psychology, he works with them. He hears certain things. He's got certain feels. The fact that he thought that was even a possibility, if it's true for Jon, it's got to be true for Stipe. Anything that you would say about Jon, you would have to say about Stipe, including the age. Right? I mean, Jon's 35, 36 years old, and Stipe's older than Jon. A lot on that fight. Because what if? Right? What if this guy goes and becomes a number one contender and the champion steps aside? And the same would be said for whoever lost that fight. Are they likely to want to come back and go through the grinder of the next era, knowing that a title shot is very unlikely and knowing that history says this experiment isn't going to go well? There is a chance. I don't know if I could call it a likelihood. We'd have to hear from Stipe. We'd have to hear from Jon. I feel like they would tell us. I feel like if somebody asked Jon this question, hey, if you get done with Stipe, is this it? I feel like he would tell us. But he hasn't yet. He hasn't been asked that question. Neither is Stipe. And I'm just sharing for you, if they do exit stage left, no matter how that outcome, no matter who wins that match, you would have a situation where the winner of Blades and Sergi would go right into a title fight and you would just have to find the opponent. Or at least it would seem that that's the direction you'd look in.